Hello everyone, and welcome to another beer review. Now, this is a beer review that I've decided to do because I wasn't happy with the beer review that I actually did. The beer review that I was planning to put out for today's upload was more of a response. I'd done an ale, which was 1845 from Fuller's, which was a nice beer. And I said that I would give plum porters a good run for their money with the flavour profile and everything else, and just the quality and everything else. And it was a good beer, and I did give it a 9. It was one of the highest ranking beers that I've actually reviewed. So I thought, well, what I'll do is I do have some plum porters, so I'll try one of the plum porters and we'll see how it kind of ranks up. And it was a plum porter from the Titanic Brewery, and I actually reviewed it. I did record it and everything else. I still have the recording, but I was so disappointed, not only just in the beer but the flavours that were coming from the beer. It was plum. It was more like bubble gum. It was just, and from my point of view, just dreadful. And I thought, well, I was going to kind of put this forward as a kind of reply by me saying that the 1845 beer could give plum porters a good run for their money, and is a good option. And well, that beer was just so short of the mark that it didn't provide a counter argument. It was more like a kind of nail in the coffin. It was, seriously. And I went on a rant on that. I don't know if you want me to actually upload the video, let me know. But I went on a rant on it, and I'm thinking, I'm sick of ranting. I've been totally honest. I'm sick of drinking beers sometimes that, seriously, what the hell is going on? And unnatural flavours and all this. You're thinking, seriously, you're just making an absolute mockery. And that's what I felt. I felt they were just making an absolute mockery, not only of that style of beer, but obviously on, making a mockery of the beer industry in general and beer drinkers by producing that. And then trying to kind of compare 1845 with a bottle of piss like that. Let's be totally honest, it was just a bottle of piss. Just kind of defeated the purpose. There was no real purpose in doing it because, let's be totally honest, the Titanic plum porter that I tasted shouldn't be mentioned in the same sentence as the Fuller's 1845. I mean, they're just opposite end of the scales. Something done right, done properly, with care and attention, and something that's just completely half-arsed and just pathetic, useless, and everything else. Again, look, I'm almost ready to kick off again. It really did annoy me. So what I thought, right, I'm not going to put that out. I might put it out later, or if you want me to put it up, then let me know and I'll put it on and you can have it, because I think some of you quite like me kicking off and having a rant. And if you do, then yeah, I'll chuck it on as an extra. But what I'm going to do is do a different ale for today, and I'll upload that instead. And what we're going to do is a beer that was kindly donated by Adrian, and it's Durdle Door, or Durdle Door, but I think it's pronounced locally as Durdle Door. Which is basically a classic premium ale from the Dorset Brewing Company, and it's a 5%, and it's an award-winning ale from the Jurassic Coast, which, of course, if you don't know, that's kind of, it's called the Jurassic Coast round about kind of East Devon and Dorset area, because of course all the fossils and everything else. Now, there's a bit of spiel in the back. I think there's a bit of spiel in the back. So it says copper bronze, 5%. What the hell is that supposed to say? Seriously. I'll put this up because I can't read that. That's just ridiculous. I'll put it up in the beer fact because there's no way I can even read that. It's just ridiculous. But apparently style is a classic premium ale at 5%. What the hell is that? C apparently. In other words, colour. The look of it, copper bronze colour. Smell is kind of more marmalade. Taste is warm caramel. Bitterness is 3.5. out of 5. And sweetness is 2 out of 5. And it contains crystal malts, wheat and black. Hops, it contains Challenger, Cascade and Summit. And the water is the local water taken from, well, taken for over 80 years to reach borehole. So yeah, so basically they've been working from the same borehole for over 80 years, so that's where the water comes from. So it's more of a natural source, and apparently it's supposed to be kind of more kind of crafty style, allegedly. So there you go, and best before July 24th. So well done, Adrian. It's in date, but yeah, it's quite a nice bottle. You can see it's kind of, the label kind of drags round from the front and everything else. It kind of makes it more, and yeah, there's a wee bit of spill on the back, but we'll find out what that is. But I'm sure it's wonderful. I'm trying not to sneeze. I'm going to sneeze in a minute. I don't want to sneeze. Cover the camera in mucus. That'd be lovely, wouldn't it? There you go, Trico. Let me do that. Right. So let's pour this out and see what we've got. And hopefully I'll get a good head on this one, because I scrubbed this glass within an inch of its life with my own bare hands. Didn't leave it up to the dishwasher, because I'm now basically washing my glasses by hand now, rather than using the dishwasher. I've sacked the wife. Yeah, there we go. And yeah, it's for people on the podcast, it's a kind of amber, kind of copperish colour ale. It's a bit cloudy, there's a bit of cloudiness, a bit of opaqueness, it's not clear. It's more of a southern ale, as you can see. It's kind of prawn cracker head, dissipating quite quickly. So yes, it's one of these kind of more flatter beers. Smell wise, getting maybe a little bit of marmalade, but I'm getting kind of more kind of sweet malts. Not really getting any citrus, maybe a hint of marmalade kind of esque, you know, kind of a slightly weak. But I'm not really getting the kind of citrus side of it. I'm getting maybe the kind of sweetness and kind of that kind of jelliness of marmalade. But I'm not really getting kind of any citrus or fruity smells. But what I am getting, yeah, I'm getting quite strong malts and caramel kind of aromas as well. So let's see what it tastes like. Right, yeah, that's an interesting one, because when you first taste it, you're getting the malt, and then you expect that kind of sweetness to be there, and it isn't. There's a lot of malt, but not so much sweetness, and it does slightly give you a bit of a kind of dry sensation. That you're getting the malt, but you're kind of getting a kind of dry effect because the sweetness isn't enough to kind of match up with the malt flavours. Yeah, so you're getting malty, caramel, but yeah, you're not really getting the sweetness, and it's a kind of slightly kind of dry sensation or dry feeling, mouthfeel. Not so much bitterness in the back end as well, because it's a very clean finish. I mean, right now it's a case of I've got nothing in my mouth. Nothing at all, no flavours lingering whatsoever, just nothing. To the point is, I'm going to have to drink another drink, because there's nothing there in my mouth that was going to remind me or have any kind of connection to what I've just drunk. It really is that much of a clean finish. Mouthfeel is very low on the carbonation side. So it is. It does act more like a cask. You know, nicer at warmer temperatures. Getting a little bit more bitterness now, but again, it is more like, it does have, I can understand with the saying marmalade, because what it does, it reminds me of whiskey marmalade. Not with the whiskey flavours, but with that kind of bitter edge to whiskey marmalade you get at the end, where it basically kind of reacts, because you've got all that sweetness and then both, you just get that kind of bitter edge coming from the kind of whiskey side of it at the end as an aftertaste, and really does kind of, you know, clash. There's a bit of a clash going on there, which again I don't mind. It's actually not a bad clash. But yeah, in general it just reminds me, just by look, feel and everything else, more of a kind of like cask style ale, and they've tried to kind of emulate that in the bottle, which again I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's something a bit more different than trying to kind of, you know, well, this is what it's like in the cask and this is what it's like in the bottle, and they're quite different. Whereas they've maybe tried to kind of make this a bit more like the cask version by having it kind of set up more like the cask version and not like kind of what more kind of traditional bottle beer drinkers would expect, including myself. So yeah, but yeah, it's unusual. So it is. I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying it's unusual, and oh shit, I'm just pissed that everywhere, isn't I? I'm trying to give it a wee bit of life there, but all I've managed to do is moisten my trousers. Right. What I will say, it's easy drinking because of that, and I think Adrian would love this. Adrian, being a good southerner, doesn't like sparklers. He likes cask ales, but none of this fucking sparkler nonsense. Oh no, no, no. We want it as flat as a witch's tit, same as their cider. And I think he would love this. I think this would be right up his street. It'd be right up his alley. So it would. So if you're watching Adrian, hopefully you are. If you're not, you're a turncoat and a Judas. But yeah, if you're watching Adrian, yeah, I would recommend having a go at this, because I think you would like it. I think this would be right up your street. Going by what we've had locally, some of the beers we went to a local pub, which is a kind of pilot pub for the Ottery Brewery, or the Otter Brewery, kind of products, and they try out new products there and everything else, and that's really a traditional cask. It's got the wooden basically barrel just basically stacked up behind the bar, and yeah, the woman will just go over there and just crack it straight off it. And well, yeah, I mean, I'll be totally honest, we had some Otter bitter from there that was really nice, and then we've had it in other pubs since. And even though I've said that the brewery can be a bit hit and miss, there's just no comparison between it. And we also tried their fresh one. That's one of the reasons why we went there to try their fresh stuff, and it was actually quite nice. I wasn't going to say it's wonderful or great, but I can understand what they've been trying to do with it, trying to create a more kind of cask style beer, but have the kind of shelf life of a more kind of traditional beer. So again, it takes the pressure off pubs of, well, if it's not basically sold enough of it and it's really come to its end of its shelf life, that you're chucking away good beer and everything else, so it gives it more of an extension. So it's something that will appeal to more kind of traditional beer drinkers that enjoy cask, but has that kind of longevity and shelf life of a more traditional kind of kegged beer. So that was kind of interesting, and it just kind of, it kind of along that kind of edge, kind of similar edge between the casks and things like that. Flavour wise, it's actually not too bad. It's actually quite nice, but it does, I'm drinking this and I'm enjoying it, but it's got Southern ale written all over it. It really does. It has more kind of Southern beer kind of notes and accents, and which of course it is a Southern beer and everything else. So It is, and it's just, there isn't many because, I mean, you look at some of the southern breweries down here. I mean, you've got Dartmoor breweries, you've got St Austell breweries, you've got Sharps and things like that. You've got Bredport, you've got Otter Brewery, things like that. Just all the kind of local areas. Exmoor and everything else. And quite a lot of the products just don't really kind of epitomise this area, the south and everything else. It's more of a kind of, I mean, general beer. I mean, proper job. You mean from St Austell or Tribute? You wouldn't turn around and say, well, yeah, well, they epitomise the area. They don't. And neither does the Pisswater Dunbar and everything else. It's just the beers that are just kind of, yeah, kind of, they could be made anywhere, to be totally honest. It doesn't matter. There's no real kind of connection. And even if you take the Otter, I mean, a lot of the Otter brewery products in the bottle, again, don't feel as if they kind of have a connection with the area, apart from if you read the label and their address. But yeah, they could just be brewed kind of anywhere. In the cask it tastes different. In the cask it gives you more of a kind of sense of being more of a local beer and everything else, but you just don't get that transitioning into the bottle. Whereas with this, it does. It actually feels like you're drinking more of a local beer. It has that feel about it. And yeah, fair play. It's actually quite a nice beer. As I'm drinking more of it, and the mouth is getting more used to it, it is a nice beer. And if you're into more kind of cask beers and cask ales, give this one a go. Seriously, give it a go. Because I'm not saying it's exactly like a cask, but it's a lot more connection to a cask. They actually have kind of bottled it to try and make it more like a cask ale. And to a certain degree, they've achieved it. So they have, it's a lot closer to a cask ale than I would say a bottled beer, even though it's just come from a bottle. And yeah, fair play to them from that. I mean, let's be totally honest, if you put them side by side, you would probably notice differences, but I'm comparing it to just kind of standard ales that I've drunk and reviewed over the years from bottles. And yeah, I've had them on cask, I've had them in the bottle, and the two of them, they're almost like different beers to a certain degree, just because mouthfeel, flavours that are there that you pick up in the cask that you just don't pick up from the bottle and everything else. More carbonation that you're getting in the bottle. I mean, they do feel like a completely different beast from one to the other. Whereas I haven't had this on cask, but this does have more of a cask feel to it. So that's what I'm saying. If you're into more casks, and I think there's quite a few people that watch it that are, then yeah, I would recommend this just straight off the bat. Just go and try it and see what you think, regardless of flavours and everything else. But just see what you think. Do you basically feel it's been done more of like a cask emulation than a traditional bottled beer? Right, let's break down the flavours. Right. Start off, bags of caramel. Nice malt, bags of caramel, a little bit of grain, and very low sweetness to the point as it almost feels kind of dry. This is what you get in the front of the mouth. It's like you've got the kind of trifecta there. You know, you've got the malt, the grain, the caramel accents, and then you think, oh, the sweetness should be there, and it's like, where's the sweetness? Where's the sweetness? I can detect some, but nowhere near enough. And it just gives you that kind of slightly dry sensation, which helps because as you move into the mid-tongue, you start getting a little bit more of bitter accents. And the bitter accents just kind of I mean, normally I would say that with the lack of sweetness and the bitterness coming through the being imbalance and that. But what it does is instead of giving the imbalance of within the beer, what it does is it just kind of pushes the beer more towards a slightly more kind of cask, and with a kind of lower carbonation and everything else, it does tend to kind of give you that kind of cask feel about it. And it's actually done quite well. I don't know whether they came across this by accident or they've thought about it, worked it out, but either way, they've created a unique product, but unique in a good way. So it is. And I honestly don't think this beer would be as good if it was set up more as a bottled beer. I don't know, because I don't think it would work. It would need more sweetness and everything else, and it would be a completely different product, I would feel. The flavour profiles and everything else would change if you upped the carbonation, had a bit more sweetness, get a bit more of a kind of a balance to basically work better in a bottle. As a more kind of bottled ale, I think you would have a different product. But the product here, I think if they did this in cask, which they might do, I think this would be closer. I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but I think it'd be you could identify parts of it being a lot closer to the cask than say with other beers that are available in bottle and in cask. So yeah. Because in the mid tongue, you're still getting, I mean, the level of sweetness doesn't change from the start of the mouth to the mid tongue because there isn't really that much there to change or dissipate. The malt's still a good level, the caramel's a good level, the grain's a good level, but you start getting these little bitter accents in the mid tongue, which then move over to the aftertaste and just slightly grow a little bit, just get a little bit more intensity. But again, initially it was quite a clean finish. It's still quite a clean finish, but I'm just getting a little bit more of the bitterness just hanging on. Again, more like a kind of a cask ale. I would say there's a decent level of bitterness, especially in the aftertaste. I would definitely say that there's a bitter finish, and they say it's a 3.5 out of 5. And I would say they've got it spot on. The sweetness, they're saying it's 2 out of 5. I would probably say it's almost 1 out of 5. I think they're maybe giving it a bit too much. But I think the mouthfeel has made a big difference in having the lower carbonation, and you can see it and a little bit cloudy and everything else. And yeah, it just seems to work. And it is, to me, it's kind of more of a kind of cask bitter. They're calling it a premium ale, but I would say this is more of a cask bitter, and it's a good kind of level of bitterness. But there's also a kind of drinkability about this. I mean, one of the things is when you're drinking in cask is, for me, pints don't last long. If I'm basically in a pub and I'm drinking cask ales, apart from the last one I had which was locally, and the cask was off, and I had 2 sips and you can fuck that up your arse. I'm not drinking that piss water, you bastards. But as an example, me and Adrian over in Ottery St Mary, drinking in the pub there, and yeah, we've hardly sat back down after being at the bar, and we're almost ready to go back up again, because Jesus, they're just so easy drinking, and we're already kind of, when we're up there and she's filling up the glass, we're looking at what other ones that we can go for next. And yeah, so we've already got it in our heads, and as soon as we basically finished this and had a quick discussion, which while we're drinking it, I mean, you're talking, it feels like almost 5-10 minutes and we're back up again. And yeah, and that's what it feels like with this. I mean, with this you could really tan a few, seriously. You could write a good session on this. I don't know what it costs. I'll find out and I'll put it in the kind of beer facts bit below, because I didn't obviously buy this. But yeah, it'll be interesting, because I might be buying this again, because I'd like to know what it'd be like as a night on it. So it would be. So that's what I might do. next time Adrian's over, I'll maybe get some of these in and have a night on them, and maybe get one in for him to try. Yeah, only one though. If he wants any more, he can buy his own. I've returned the favour. He bought me one, I bought him one. But yeah, typical Scotsman. But yeah, I would like to have a session on it to see what it's like, because it does have that kind of cask feel about it, and it's unusual to have that. I mean, you'll probably come back and say there's been other beers, but from what I've tried, and more coming from a bottle and everything else, it's quite kind of cask-esque, and it's kind of mouthfeel and kind of drinkability, and just with a slight dryness and the lack of sweetness, it just, yeah, it just gives me, and especially has that kind of feeling of being kind of more local than quite a lot of the kind of more locally brewed beers. So yeah, it's nice. Yeah, it's nice. I like it. Now, what would I give this out of 10? Now, remember, I could even read the spill on the back because it's so bloody small, so I can honestly, there's nothing I've read in that label, because apart from what I could actually see, but the rest of it I couldn't, so there's nothing that influenced me apart from what I've tasted. In any way, shape or form. So there could be a lot of fucking spiel and lots of pairing notes for, oh, eat this with this food and that food and all the things that I hate in the back label, but of course I can't read it, so I can't tell you. So that's not going to influence me in my kind of decision, so bear that in mind. But yeah, what would I give this out of 10? I like it actually. I'm trying not to finish, because usually when I have a cask ale down to that, that's my last mouthful. I've already turned around the next one. You ready for another? Right, what are we going to have? Alright, okay. Yeah. And I'll swig this and off we go. You know what I mean? So like, this is a mouthful. This is the last mouthful for me. So I'm trying not to do that. And so out of 10, what would I give this? I actually really quite like it, and it's a good level of bitterness as well, and lack of sweetness just helps with the bitterness. It's probably not as bitter as what you think, but because of that lack of sweetness, just kind of gives it more of a bitter edge. Nice mouthfeel, low carbonation, some nice malts and caramel flavours as well, and yeah, it just ticks all the boxes, and it does kind of epitomise a good kind of more southern malt forward bitter edge beer, whether you want to call it a bitter or you want to call it a premium ale or whatever. I would say it's more of a bitter ale, but they're calling it a premium ale. But yeah, no, I like this, and I like bitter beers, so it's a bit of a strange one actually, because I'm actually sitting here and I'm kind of toying between 7.5 and 8. This is a strange one, because the beer that I actually did review to go out today is an absolute bloody disaster, and I'll be totally honest, it was really a low scoring one. And what I've put in as a substitute, I thought, well, that should be okay. We should maybe get a kind of more middle of the road kind of beer. No, it's not, might not set the hell on fire, but it's not going to basically disgust me, hopefully, either. And I thought it was more of a kind of a safe bet, just to kind of middle of the road. And it's gone the other way. It's gone as a case as though that this is a beer I actually like, and I'm now considering thinking, I need to have a night on this beer and really give some good feedback from that, because I think it could be a really good, you know, next time Adrian's over and we're having a takeaway and have a good session and we're doing some work at the weekend, then I think this could be a really good Saturday night swally type of beer. And I'm sitting there between 7.5 and 8, and I'm sitting there thinking, should I give it 7.5, should I give it an 8? And I'm going to say fuck it, I'm going to give it an 8. Regardless, I mean, if I know the price, then I might give it a 7.5 if it's too expensive. But if it's round the kind of £2 mark or under, then yeah, I'm going to give it an 8. If it's over £2 mark, which of course I will put them details in the beer facts, then I would say 7.5. 7.5 if it's over £2. If it's under £2, then yeah, I'm going to give it an 8. And yeah, I would recommend try it. And if you like cask beers and you like more kind of bitter edge beers with nice malt flavours and tones, give it a go. Go and try it if you can get it. Again, I don't know how easily it is, but Adrian bought it through it being in Dorset. He bought it over towards the kind of Plymouth area, so southern England. And it's quite funny because even stuff that's brewed over here, and we're kind of East Devon, and we're right on the border with Dorset. The stuff that's brewed here in East Devon, he can't get in over towards the Portsmouth area, but you can get this. So there you go. So it just kind of shows you. But yeah, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I would definitely recommend it. Give it a go. And if you do try it, or you have tried it, let me know. Do you get these kind of cask ale vibes off it as well? You getting a kind of more kind of cask edge with the carbonation and everything else, or maybe I'm just a silly old fool and I'm talking bollocks. But at the end of the day, I like it. I'm enjoying it. It is very sessionable, and I want to have a session on it. And yeah, give it a go and let me know. So, thanks for watching. Cheers, and bye for now. What do you want next?